alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Welcome to another edition of, this is episode 3 of Ummah Unplugged podcast, where we interview leaders in the community who are pushing the Ummah forward. And today we have my girl, Khadijah Savane of Savane Wellness. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You are a queen of showing up.
I'm here showing up.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what it's about. That's what it's about.
You have to. So how would you introduce yourself to people? Because I feel like I introduce you differently.
Okay. So when I'm introducing myself to people, I introduce myself as being the certified womb practitioner. There is no one like me. I am the womb practitioner.
The.
Yes. Because my lane is like different from other womb practitioners' lanes. I focus on really tapping into my community. So it's bigger than this just V-steaming or creating products or just selling a product. It's about the educational piece for me. So.
And I think, so my way of introducing you, I would say it's more, I feel like the industry of womb, getting in touch with yourself, V-steam, is saturated. And I'm like, no, Khadijah's different. Khadijah's totally different. She's going to get you tapped into a different version of yourself and make you feel safe and make you feel like we're a part of a community. We're doing this together. I'm not judging you. I'm helping you through. And that's bigger than, oh, do this steam, oh, take this product, oh, consume this. When you feel like you have a sisterhood, where you feel like you have somebody that's looking out for you and not just telling you what you need to do. Absolutely.
I mean, well, let's just be honest with our community and just our culture. That's the womb, the vagina, all of those things are taboo to talk about, right? So before you really, my products and outside of my products, my brand is a lifestyle. So in order to tell people, to really get people to commit, I have to make them feel safe, right? And in order to make them feel safe, I have to show up and I have to be the example, right? So I can't say, oh, V-steam after your menses go off, right? And just be saying it. I have to show you why you should V-steam when your menses go off. I have to explain to you and show you why you should be drinking the water with the vetiver root in it. We also know that life is life and for everyone, right? But it's so much easier when you have a tribe behind you saying, girl, you got it.
Right.
Keep going, right? When you don't feel like working out, but you look up and you see your homegirls posting like, I'm going to go work out with Khadijah today. It motivates you to say, you know what? She got a husband too. She got children too. She working and she's still showing up. Let me get my behind out and show up.
And I told you this, you're the reason that I call a trainer. I was just like, Khadijah is in the gym, 8 p.m. You was Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, holidays included. I went today this morning.
You went in this morning, 8 a.m., Labor Day.
Yep.
This is the epitome of showing up for yourself. And I'm like, if she could do it, 3 kids, working, business, let me get my behind up and let me show up for myself. And that's something that you're big in with the community of like showing up for yourself, self-care in a different way. So like self-care is very overused right now.
Very.
It's the like, oh, I wake up in the morning and you get the massage, I'm gonna take the bath, I'm gonna like show that I'm taking care of myself, I'm, gonna eliminate toxicity out of my life and do all the things. What does self-care look like for you, and how do you frame it for your community?
Mental health is real, right? So much so that most women don't understand that all of this stress, you harbor that in the womb. So when women are saying, oh my God, I didn't get a period for 6 months, or oh my God, I've been bleeding for 6 months, one of the things you have to stop back and say, like, okay, what's going on with you right now? And they're like, okay, well, what do you mean? And it's like, what's happening on your day to day, right? And it's like, oh, I've been stressed. I'm like, I'm this, I'm that. Okay, let's kind of narrow it down to that part first, so we can kind of like then start saying, okay, well, is your thyroid? Is it this? Is it that? But even with PCOS, stress triggers PCOS.
Right.
So you could be fine, and then all of a sudden your flare up will come up, and it's like, why? Because you're PCOS.
Right. Because you can be doing and a lot of women are like, I eat well, like I drink water, I don't have I don't have fast food and all that, but the literal sleep, stress, like what's your day-to-day look like? If you on edge all day, your body is just like, sis, how much can I take?
How much can I take? So I always say, my favorite thing saying is to show grace to yourself. And it took me a very long time to show grace to myself. And I always tell women, especially women who are married, we expect so much from our husbands, right? And it's like we want our husbands to do this, and he has to show us grace, and he has to buy us flowers, and he has to da-da-da. And it's like, but do you do these things for yourself? Right? And I'm really big on, I believe my husband always buys me flowers, because whether he buys them for me or not, flowers will be on my dining room table.
We have flowers.
Right? I spend money on beautiful roses. My husband sees that, so he does the same. Right? I show myself grace so much so that I'm able now to articulate to him when I need a second. And I couldn't always do that.
And that takes a lot. That takes a lot of unlearning, trial and error, and for most of the time it takes us getting to such a low point where we feel like, what do I have? I don't have anything or anybody, it's just me. And then we bring ourselves out of that hole. Hopefully, always God is involved.
Absolutely.
So it's when you pull yourself out of a space where you didn't have anything, anybody, and you say, you know what? I love myself. I love myself. I love the flowers, so I'm going to buy myself the flowers. You're adding to it as my husband, but I'm showing up. I love me. So you loving me is just extra. There's so many women that aren't in that place.
And to be very honest, the moment that you get into that place, your marriage and your relationship shifts, right? Because the pressure on him is not really there, right? So it's kind of like you're when he comes home, you're able to be soft. You're able to receive him without straight going, we didn't da-da-da-da-da, because regardless, you showed up for yourself, right? So like this morning I got up and I made sure I worked out because he wasn't doing night class, and that makes me feel good. I made sure that I did everything I needed to do. So whether Mama gets the boys later or he doesn't get the boys later, I did what I needed to do for myself.
Right.
You see how
you filled up your own cup.
So you see how that little thing shifts the tension off of, we just put so much on everyone. Even like with ourselves, like with our parents or like our moms or this or that. It's like, we expect for people to do so much, but it's like, but do you do it for yourself?
I've heard someone say, somebody's only going to love you to the extent that you love yourself.
Absolutely.
So if your cup is empty and you every time you get a little bit of fill up, you give it back out. And you're just like, let me take care. Let me do this for the kids. Let me do this. I didn't get any sleep last night, but I'm gonna wake up and make my husband breakfast and let me do. They're like, if you keep giving, people take.
It's natural.
And even the people that love you and care about you, they're going to receive.
Yeah.
So if you keep giving out and you just giving from an empty cup and then you deplete it and then you get to some point where you just explode, it's going to seem like it's coming out of the middle of nowhere, because it's like, oh, you was just giving, and you was just showing up for this and that, and then it's too much.
And not even that part. It's like, you may even have a husband that may say, well, no one told you to do that.
Correct.
Right? And then you're looking around and you're like, no one's, and they're like, but if you knew that you were tired, no one told you. And it's like, you know what, you're right. And you're absolutely right. You didn't tell me to do this. And I felt like I needed to do this to, make you happy, this. But I just realized that self-care and self-love part really starts with you, how you treat yourself, and how you teach people how to treat you. And so many women be like, well, I don't really have time to teach my husband. It's like, it's not even just about teaching your husband. You have to teach everyone how to handle you, because we're all different.
Right. How did you get to, or how would you help somebody get to that place of taking care of themselves? So if say a woman is at a place where they're just depleted and they're just like, I don't have anything left. I don't even know who I am outside of being a mom and wife. I don't know. I haven't tapped into me as an adult, because especially, Muslim women get married and have kids young. So it's like
that part.
It's like I don't even know who I am as an adult woman, as myself, outside of being such and such as mom and such as wife.
I know it sounds so cliche to say, but I would always say, start unpacking.
He peed in his pants.
Okay. This is the bread.
This
with
is
the
life.
boys. This is life. This is life, y'all. We'll deal with that later. I'll get some shorts from the store. We're gonna move on.
We good.
I lost my train of thought.
Where were you supposed to
unpacking, right? I know it sounds so cliche to say, but I'm really big with therapy. I'm really big on therapy. I'm really big on taking whatever time you need to unpack. We have so much trauma, right? And most of the time, it don't even be your husband's stuff, your kids' stuff. That be your stuff.
It was our childhoods. It's our families. It's our environment.
It's your mother's stuff that she done put on you. So I always tell women, before you gotta unpack. Right? I did a lot of unpacking. And honestly, I literally just said that I'm actually about to get back into therapy, because the space that I'm in now, no, I'm not unpacking trauma, but now I'm stepping in the world of being an entrepreneur, trying to tap the M's, but trying not to lose my husband, all of these real things, right? Because I want to be a boss, but I don't want to be a single boss.
Hello.
So now I'm like, I need to go back to therapy to gain some tools on what life looks like for me today.
Right. And therapy is something that should remain
ongoing. And it shouldn't be when we
my life.
Yeah, when we broken down and we down and out. It should be all the time, because you're always trying to be the best version of you.
Right.
And sometimes you need to be, talking about good therapists, to be with someone who is able to give you the tools, because they already see your potential. So they're like, well, instead of thinking like this, kind of rewire your brain and think like
yes.
this. And it's like, dang, I never thought about it like that.
My therapist always says, reframe. Let's reframe this. You thinking of it in a totally different lens. This is what's actually going on. Reframe it. Give yourself grace. Be proud of yourself. You even reminding you of, you brought yourself to this point. You unpacked a lot. You should be proud of yourself.
Absolutely.
You're good.
You're good.
And we're so in our own heads, and we're just naturally like, oh, I'm not doing enough, and I'm not. Going back to being an entrepreneur, it's a lot.
A lot that no one talks about.
Nobody talks about I think a lot of the female entrepreneurs that are big, especially in the Black women area, are single.
Yeah.
To no fault of their own, like but
I mean, Los Manos truly protect us from that because I'm not looking to be that one. I am. That's a whole nother lane that I don't even want to tap into. I'm looking to be successful Muslim woman who's married, who's happily married.
Yes.
And who brings it back home to her husband, her kids.
And that's because that's the real happiness. It's not
nothing else.
The money is a test. Mm-hmm. The success is a test.
Absolutely.
But when you could come home and just be your true self, I actually said to my husband the other day that I'm like, entrepreneurship made me more assertive than I'm comfortable with.
Absolutely.
I like being feminine, laid back. I like the chill. Now this is my purpose. I love this. This is my passion. I feed off this as well. But I don't want to be the masculine boss. So I'm good.
I'm good. No, I'm good. And I also would go back on your question, I also would tell women to start creating boundaries for themselves and to start showing up as the person that they need, right? So if they need a certain kind of friend, if they need to kind of start being that, so you can attract that. And what people don't realize is, I don't care if you've been friends with people for 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, at any day you can say, it's time for a reshift.
Yes.
I need to bring some fresh people. I need to bring some fresh, healthy vibes in my space,
yes.
Right? I need people who, when they see me, they organically pour into me. I'm very intentional about who's in my space today.
How are you, because you have a great community of women who are, some you've been friends with for a while,
and
some are new, but everyone has that same energy, vibe, cheer each other on, girl, you got this. Was that just natural because it's like you showed up for that energy and then it just kind of came in with you?
It took me to have to lose some really close friends to really understand what I needed from a friend, right? Mm-hmm. So coming from Jersey, not being Muslim, become a Muslim, coming to Philly, it was a real different shift, right? And sometimes you think, okay, well, my friends look like this, I look like this, my friends look like this, and this is a great friendship, right? And then you realize, like, this is unhealthy as hell. Everybody's mean girls. You show up and you look a certain kind of way, but yeah, sis, in the back of your mind, as long as I'm underneath you, you good, right? All right, so I had to go, Allah had to bring me through that. I had to lose some close friends I was close with. I'm talking about for like over 15 years. And once I literally grieved those friendships,
yes,
right? Because it was a grieving process, right? I loved those girls. And I had to ask myself, but what do you need? Because when you're friends with them, they bring out the caddy in you. They bring out the bee in you, right? But when you're with your girls, your Jersey girls you grew up with, they bring out who you really are.
Yes.
And you don't have to feel like you're corny, you're weak, you're less than. You could just show up as yourself, right? So when I was able to understand, when I was able to sit back to say, what makes me my best, I was able to start shifting.
Yep.
Right? And then when Allah started removing people, I was like, whoo, oh Allah.
And doesn't it feels like a weight off you?
I didn't realize she should have been going years ago.
Because it's not elevating you to the space you want to be in.
Well, and I wasn't in that space at that moment. So I had to become a little more healthier, right? I had to still keep unpacking. And once I started unpacking, I was able to show up as the person I needed.
Right.
So when I met people, I organically, genuinely poured into them. I showed up as who I am, as the healthy me, not the mean girl me. Because the mean girl me that I once was the unhealthy version of Khadijah. Right. So some people could be like, oh my gosh, she is so fake or she's so phony. It's like, no sis, yeah, I used to say no new friends. But the healthy me is saying, no, I want new friends. I want to network.
Yes.
Because my new friends and my networking has shifted my brand years ahead of people's brands.
Yep. And it's when you, so I used to be at this place where prior to the store, I was at a weird place of shedding friendships that I was just like, like we just not in the same place anymore. We cool, but it's just like everybody's doing their own thing, and it's not worth the investment. To be like, dang, where you find new friends? Where do you find, especially we're in Philly, so it's just like where you find people that's on your same wavelength, that's not seeing you as the old you, and that's progressive, and that's cheering you on, and just genuine. After, and this is my therapist said, when what you're starting with the business and your intention, it's going to come to you.
Absolutely.
And that's the same thing. Like that's how when we connected, it was just like,
yeah.
It was. I was like, yo, she cool. Like this is to have genuine people in your life. It fills your cup.
It fills your cup. And let's make no mistake, we love our men.
Yes.
Right? But the power of women amongst each other is nothing that a man could do.
Right.
When you have your sisters and that's why sisterhood is so important in Islam. And when we really can understand it, I mean, literally, you could be pregnant. It don't be your husband that come in the room, they be like, okay, let me make her some warm soup. Let me do this. Let me do that. It's just sisters.
Right. That's who really shows up for you. And so that has helped your brand. When did you start the business?
I started the business during a pandemic. So sometimes I get lost, but I feel like November, I will be tapping on to 3 years.
Okay.
3 years.
Okay.
But I started the business in the pandemic, in the thick of the pandemic.
Okay.
And I started the business literally, well, even before the pandemic, I was hustling the veterinary root, the her sticks, in Ziploc bags. And one of my, there was a sister that was always having, it was a sister that always would do sister events. And she would be like, girl, come and bring your sticks and talk about what they do. Because I was giving them to my girlfriends. And they would be like, you need to start selling them. I'm like, what? And they're like, girl,
the benefits.
Some things had me like X, Y, and Z. My husband noticed this difference. I noticed a difference. And I was like, okay. So she like, go to Staples, get some labels. My event is next Saturday. Put them on Ziploc bags and just put the label on them. How much you want to sell them for? And I was like, $5. And I was hustling them.
Yes.
And then the women just like started telling their friends, their mommies, their ummies, their grandmoms. Everybody started calling me like aunties. Girl, what is this? And it just kind of like...
Because I had never heard of it, never saw it, and then I started using it, and I was just like... And so explain to people real quick what the her sticks, the veterinary root, does and what it helps with.
The veterinary root is a purifying root, so it naturally cleanses the body. And it's for men. Men can use it as well.
Okay.
But the benefit for women is, and it's a correcting herb. So sometimes a woman may not even understand it'll do one thing for her, and I'll give you an example. I had an older woman who was experiencing vaginal dryness. She's going through menopause, and she started using the root, and the root cleansed her out. And it's not a cleanse where it's like a detox, right? It's like just a natural cleanse for you. And as she's using it, she's drinking the water. She's drinking more water now as well. It corrects the vaginal dryness. However, because the root it cools the body down, it took control. It helped with her hot flashes.
Hot flashes, yep.
So she now started using the root for the hot flashes, and the vaginal dryness went away. But she was like, "Oh my gosh! Well, I'm going to continue to keep using them because."
And that's, which is a whole nother thing, because that, like, I had a woman come in the other day, and she was just like, oh. Like, women's body goes through so much.
So much.
But, so that was your first product. And one product that we have here in the store that is our product of the day, of the episode, are the Breathe Eucalyptus Shower Steamers. And these are amazing. They're like, I always say, they're one of my favorite things in the store. And you know I carry 1,000,005 products.
Yes.
They're one of my favorite things. And I find myself like holding on to them for dear life because I can't get high on my own supply. So
yeah.
I literally at home right now, it's 2 left in a jar and I'm like, I'm saving this for a day.
No, that's how it be. The shower steamers came about when I had so I have a 14-year-old and then I have the 2 youngest who are 5 now and 3, right? So having the younger 2 back to back really took a shift for me. But I lost myself with my oldest, so I already knew what I didn't want my life to look like as a mom now with these 2 younger ones. We're in the middle of a pandemic, everything shut down. Spa shut down, right. Everything shut down. And I'm like...
And your youngest was a newborn.
Ooh. Right? So I'm like, I started putting eucalyptus in my shower. And I was like watching YouTube, and I was really big. At this point, I was working on the Yanni bath bomb. I'm trying not to throw people's pH off, and I came across shower steamers. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I, started making shower steamers for myself. It's like a science project. Once I was able to execute it, I was like, oh my gosh. So then I started giving them to people as gifts. And people were losing their minds.
They're the best.
And then with COVID going on, a lot of people in the community were getting COVID. And at that time, COVID was like live or die, right? It was like, at that point, it was like no in between. People were like, it was real bad. So when certain people's husbands or brothers or moms or whoever had COVID, I would send shower steamers over. Just literally in a Ziploc bag. Like, tell them to go in the shower, close the door, breathe, because they were struggling with breathing.
Yeah. And the eucalyptus definitely opens you up. Like I gave it to my dad. He struggles with allergies, just to like open you up some. And one thing that so before opening the store, our girl Nafisa linked us up, and I was looking for brands to have in the store, and she was like, "Oh, reach out to Khadijah." She sent me your website, and I was like, "Oh yes." Because the brand quality, I couldn't tell that you had just been in business for less than a year, because the brand quality was there, the experience, even just coming into the website and looking at your social media, felt relaxing. And even to this day, you'll post a story, and I'm just like, I feel relaxed watching Instagram. Yeah. How important to you is that brand experience? Because I've learned so much from you in terms of how you show up, displays, you do pop-ups at events. The way you show up is very quality and very intentional.
Let's talk about the intentional part. I'm a perfectionist, right? And I allowed the perfectionist side of me be what executes my brand, right? So I've always been like either black or white. Everything has to be black or white. It has to be real clean. It has to be real polished, right? And I took that, and I always tell people, like, tap into who you are and pour it into your brand, and I promise you it'll take off, right?
Yes.
I love to decorate. I love to do interior designing. However, I don't want to do that full time. So I knew that for my brand, I'll actually go back. I was invited to do a pop-up. The radio station was hosting an event.
Okay.
And she was like, I want VIPs to have a shopping experience, right? And I'm really cool, one of the PRs from the radio station, and she was like, listen, you have to either build something, you have to bring an experience. And I was like, oh, okay. She was like, listen, all of the DJs, everybody's going to be there. And I'm like, okay. So I started thinking about what I wanted it to look like, and I was like, I'm going to create the ultimate shopping experience. And that's when I started bringing in bookshelves, right? Because I was like, when people walk up, I want them to be like, I need a moment where I'm able to educate them. The visual is there. So I'm going to bring in fresh flowers, fresh eucalyptus. I'm going to bring in sparkling drinks for them. So after we conversate, while we're conversating, how can I make them where they just want to spend with me?
Yes.
And that's
so, and that's so key. And I'm working on right now, by the time this launches, hopefully we got it together. But I'm working on teaching people how to create a retail experience and how to create a shopping experience, because that pours into how your customers feel, how they trust you, they come back to you. And we're in an age where we're in a recession, but they have such a connection to you that they're like, this is my girl. Like, I'm coming to her. She schooled me on some stuff. I feel good when I'm here. And I like this feeling.
Absolutely.
So it goes beyond the products being amazing. It goes beyond the transaction, because it's an experience and it's a vibe. Like, people feel a vibe when they come and they just like, oh, like you had strawberry lemon water. And it's
because
like,
I want my girls to be, you know, we all talk about Lux this, Lux that, Lux lifestyle. It's like, you saying Lux, but when I come into your table or when I come and shop with you, it's not giving that, right? And everyone, and I understand yesterday's price and not today's price, we get that. But the moment you say yesterday's price is not today's price and it doesn't match the experience that I'm getting, that's the part that I'm like, right? So I'm very intentional about when I show up. I'm very intentional about, they be like, oh, you going to go get a gift face beat for a pop-up? I am.
Yeah, you do.
Because when the girls come up, I'm like, hey. Because I want to show Muslims, like, we could be the best of us. Even if makeup is not your thing, right? Because we know, but still come polished.
Yes.
Make sure your clothes are ironed. Make sure your overgarment is pressed out. Make sure your shayla is pressed out. Make sure you look presentable so people want to buy from you.
Right. And make sure you can have an amazing product. If it's thrown around, it's not. Nobody wants. I mean, Yeezy's doing it, but nobody wants to rummage through a trash bag.
Nobody wants to do it. Every dollar, and I think also I started realizing, like, in the beginning, from day one, I'm so grateful that Allah allowed me to already be in that space. I knew that the revenue, I wasn't really gonna be able to start paying myself. I'm not there yet, right? Because everybody gets caught in there. I gotta cut myself a check, and you do, right? But for me, I knew that I want quality jars. So I do not sell any of my products in plastic, especially my Yanni gel, because what is plastic going to do? Plastic is not good. The chemicals get into the product, right? So I make sure that everything is well branded. I make sure I'm using glass. All of those things cost. But I know that the bag is going to come.
The bag is going to come because you're building.
And I know who my shopper, like, I know who my target audience is.
You know who you serve.
My target audience is women who will pull their American Express out. When I did a vending and the girls was pulling their American Expresses out, I was like, I know my audience now. You know what I mean? And it's like, and they weren't, all of them didn't have designer on. Some of them were like plain jeans, and they pulled their cards out because they're in a space of like, I want nothing but the best for myself. I want my Yanni gel in glass. Yes, ma'am. I want my bars wrapped individually. I don't want to see people touching over my stuff. That's the space they're in.
Yes. And that's a different level of, I care about the products I'm using on my body. Like, that's so.
And you're not gonna be for everyone. Some people come over, they be like, oh, my cousin she got these same herbs. I'll go get them, and it's like, okay, that's fine, right? That's fine. Somebody may say like, well, yeah, I'm not really. It's like, okay, but I think people also have to understand, like, you have to also get the education. Like, I did a marketing course that was a lot of money, but they taught me a lot. You can't cut corners.
You can't, because all the little things matter. The little things, when you go to Chick-fil-A and they say my pleasure, you could go to any Chick-fil-A in the country, in any neighborhood. It could be the 15-year-old that just got their job, their first job. It's a my pleasure on the end of your order. Because those little things matter. So it's not just, these things happen all over the world. Wherever. They all talk about it. It's a thing. It's the pot and the robe. Cool. But you're over serving your audience. You're pouring into the girls that resonate with what you have. You're educating those that don't know. And that takes you so much farther. I feel like, I truly believe in my heart, it takes you so much farther. So I want to ask you, what's the legacy that you want to leave in the Ummah?
The legacy that I want to leave, when I pass away, I want my janazah to be flooded, right? And I want, when people see my children, I'm like emotional talking about this, but like when they see my boys, right? They say like, wow, your Ummi was amazing. She helped me. I remember when I was struggling, I couldn't have kids. I felt hopeless. I was almost in a space where getting a divorce from my husband because he couldn't understand, and I couldn't understand the For them to genuinely take care of my boys and genuinely look out, that Allah be so pleased with all the work that I've done, that he just favors my husband and favors my children, right? Because Savane is my husband's last name. And I chose that because my husband introduced herbs to me. He introduced really what a healthy lifestyle should look like. And it's like, being from a different country, you're able to really tap into the raw of life and all the herbs and all of the things that they don't really teach us here because they don't want us to know for what, many reasons. But, I want the Ummah to say, like, I want my name to be where, like, Khadijah Savane was the woman who allowed me to tap back into my femininity, being able to be soft, where I was able to soften up for my husband so we didn't get a divorce, right? I want people that when they go and they make dua, that they pray for me daily and they pray for my children, because I wasn't this sister who was like, girl, please. I was a sister that was like, take a deep breath, go try take some of them steamers and go put them in a foot. No, and I literally just said this to Drink Modesty yesterday. We was at her event. I said, your husband was out here. He then served us crabs. Sis, go take some shower steamers, go put him in a foot thing, and go give him a foot scrub. Please. Because he deserve it.
Because he deserve it.
Because he deserve it.
Yeah.
And we need men like this. We need men that show up. But in order for us to have the men that show up, we got to be the woman that take care of them. We got to be that softness.
Yes. And it's reciprocal.
And that's a part of the community. Like, we need that. Like, we can't cross the men out. We need the men. And we need the men to be men.
Yes. And we need to give them the space to be men and not try to take their spot. The narrative of, we got this, and don't count them out. Because we still need that leadership. We still need, we have all these crazy ideas. We still need somebody to just be like, let's
execute one thing at a time.
Let's execute. We get it, but like, we need that analytical, logical perspective when we going off the rails. Yeah. We need somebody to be like, this is not safe.
We need them to be everything Allah subhanahu has created them to be.
Right.
And we are in a society that they are stripping all of us down, right? So like, my brand is to build the women up to be soft so we can pour back into our community.
And that's the natural, like, order of life. It's supposed to be like, we're taking things out of their natural order.
Absolutely. And I don't want to forget that. I don't want to forget that, and I don't want to ever get caught up, and I always ask Allah to protect me from it. I don't ever want to get caught up in what the society will make you start feeling like it should be, right? I always want to go back to my why. And my why is always going to take me to the next level, inshallah, because it's really about the community. And even if, non-Muslims and, Christians and all the different religions join the community, the goal is to keep the Muslim community together.
Right. No, that's dope. That's amazing.
And it's about showing up.
It's about showing up.
I got the kid. You say the kids is here. I don't make no excuses. I am her.
Yes.
I am the woman who says, you know what? I am going to give my word. If I gave my word that I was going to be there, I'm going to show up. Even if we kind of got to maneuver things around, I am going to show up. Because in order to be successful, in order to build healthy relationships, especially in business, you have to keep your word. And whatever that looks like, you have to show up.
You have to that cultivates relationships, that cultivates even the accountability in yourself. To just be like, when you're by yourself and nobody else is around, and I'm still going to do this, I'm still going to do that, I'm still going to, like, that has to be there for you to do it for other people. That has to be there to do it for your community. You have to do it for yourself first.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you being here.
Of course. Listen.
Thank you.
I wouldn't have not been here.
Yes.
Boys here, not boys here.
Boys
snacks,
here,
apples,
not.
Whatever. We here.
We here. We showing up. We like.
Absolutely.
We good. We good.
Absolutely.
So thank you for tuning in for episode 3 of Ummah Unplugged podcast. Follow us on Instagram, Ummah Unplugged podcast. Follow Savane Wellness on Instagram.
Yes.
YouTube, all the social media channels.
Yes.
ShopSavaneWellness.com. We have the shower steamers in store.
Yep.
And have a good one. Sound like
Alaikum.